Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I build these cabinets from scratch. Welcome back to DIY with Dave. I love projects that are a challenge, but also projects that increase the functionality and the value of my home. And this is one of those projects. It was really hard. It took a long time to do. It took a lot of effort and energy, but I think that the results speak for themselves. Now first, this project was necessary because the old space was just hideous and it didn't work for us. There was this weird box that covered up the water main, and I wanted to make this space more attractive and more usable. And so before I did anything, I needed to rip out the old box. After getting the old box torn out, I'm able to see the space a little bit better and I can start building the cabinet boxes. I like to build my cabinets out of melamine because it's a versatile material and the coating makes it very durable. I cut each piece to size using a track saw, and then I use this shelf pin kit from Craig to drill in the shelf pins. From there, I drill in the pocket holes that I use to put the cabinets together. Now, I'm building these cabinets a little bit differently than I normally would. First, there's no toe kick. I'm going to add that later. But I need to make some adjustments because of the uneven carpet. Second, there's no back. I need to do this so that there's still access to the water main from the back of the cabinets. After the cabinet boxes are built, I measure for the water main and make some cuts to accommodate it. Before installing the cabinets, I need to add the face frames. I built these out of rough cut maple and attached them with pocket screws. Next, I attach the cabinets to the wall and then to each other by screwing through the face frames. Next, I need to build the doors and the drawer fronts. To build these, I'm going to use rough cut maple lumber that I mill to size using a jointer and a thickness planer. I use shaker style cope and stick router bits to cut the rails and the stiles. I do this on a router table and that gives me this pattern, which makes the doors very strong. Now it's time for the glue up. You might notice that the center panels are painted. It's really just a coat of primer. I did this because I thought it would make it easier for the final paint job, but you certainly don't have to do that if you're building your own cabinets. For the two doors at the end, instead of making a panel, I decided to use some metal sheets. I think that it makes the cabinets more interesting, but it's also good for cabinets with electronics that could overheat. Because these metal sheets are so thin, I need to use some spacers so they fit in the doors tightly. Next, I use this Craig concealed hinge jig with a Forstner bit to screw out the holes for the door hinges. I put another coat of primer and a few coats of paint using a brush and foam rollers. Now these work fine, but the finish isn't perfect. A sprayer would be really nice, but it's just not in the budget at the moment. After I install the hinges, these doors are ready. Next is the countertop. I'm going to build this top out of long, hard maple boards. I use a joiner to get a flat face and a straight edge, and then a thickness planer to get them down to size. To help with the alignment for the glue up, I used dowels in the ends of each board, and then also used biscuits for the middle. The glue up went great, the boards look nice and flat. I just need to remove some excess glue and sand it, and then round over all the exposed edges. Before I stain it, I clean it with a tack cloth and then treat it with some pre-stain conditioner. Maple is a really light wood and doesn't always take stain well, and the pre-stain conditioner helps the dark stain penetrate the wood more evenly. Now it's time to install the top. I was going to install the top using pocket screws that I had drilled into the cabinets earlier when I built them. But as I thought about it more, I became a little bit concerned with wood movement, and so I decided to use these tabletop fasteners instead. They allow for wood movement and will prevent the top from splitting. To build the drawers, I'm using my Rockler dovetail jig. I love this jig. It takes a bit of practice to figure it out, but without too much trouble, I'm cutting perfect half-blind dovetail drawers in no time. In order to install the drawer slides into the cabinets, I need to account for the face frame, and so I add a piece of wood to each side so that it sits evenly with the face frames. When I install the slides, I make sure that they're level and drill them into the sides of the cabinet. In the drawer boxes, I drill pilot holes to avoid splitting the wood. Now, when I went to install the boxes, I ran into a bit of a problem. The boxes I built were a bit too large and there wasn't enough space to allow them to slide in. Now I like big drawers and that's why I built them that way, but I didn't anticipate it being a problem. But it's not a hard problem to solve. All I did was just install them a little bit differently. From there, it's time to add the drawer fronts. I use a board to get the spacing right and then line up the edges. I pre-drilled holes into the drawer fronts and then drill corresponding holes into the drawer boxes, and then I install the handle which holds them snug. I came back in later and added a few screws to make sure that the drawers are secure. Now there are just a few small finishing touches needed to complete the whole project. It looks great and I'm really proud at how this turned out. Now I hope you enjoyed this project and that you learned something. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and check out some of my other videos. Also be sure to check out the description of this video for a list of all the tools that I use in this project. Thanks again for watching and we'll see you in the next one.